snowy, but it's not that cold, versus when you get that deep cold. You can just, the snow looks different, it feels different, it sounds different.
From the outside, the life of the outdoor boys looked almost perfect. Endless forests, rushing rivers, quiet campsites, and unforgettable family adventures filled the screen. Millions of viewers watched in amazement as Luke Nichols and his children explored some of the wildest places on Earth. It seemed like a dream life, freedom, nature, and happiness. But behind the excitement and breathtaking scenery, there was a deeper story. A story of pressure, sacrifice, uncertainty, and struggles that most viewers never saw. Because the truth is, the journey of the outdoor boys was not always easy, and at times it was far more difficult than anyone could have imagined. And what challenges shaped the man who built one of the most beloved outdoor channels on YouTube? To understand the story, we first need to understand what Outdoor Boys really is. Outdoor Boys is a YouTube channel dedicated to outdoor adventures, survival skills, camping, fishing, and exploring nature. It takes viewers into the wilderness and shows them how to live, travel, and survive using practical skills and creativity. But what makes the channel special isn't just the information, it's the feeling it creates. Every video feels real. There's no polished studio, no artificial set, no actors following a script. Just a father, his children, and the unpredictable wilderness. The channel teaches viewers how to build shelters, start fires, cook meals outdoors, and navigate difficult terrain. But more importantly, it inspires people to step outside, breathe fresh air, and reconnect with the natural world. For many viewers, Outdoor Boys became more than entertainment. It became an escape from busy lives and crowded cities. Watching Luke and his family explore remote forests and frozen landscapes reminded people of something simple yet powerful: the joy of being outdoors. But what most people didn't realize was how much effort and sacrifice went into creating those moments. Long before Outdoor Boys ever existed, Luke Nichols was just a boy growing up surrounded by wilderness. His childhood played a major role in shaping the person he would become. Luke grew up in Alaska, a place where nature is not just scenery, it's a way of life. Massive mountains, icy rivers, and endless forests formed the backdrop of his childhood. From a young age, he learned how to fish, hunt, and survive in harsh conditions. These experiences taught him resilience and patience. They also gave him something even more valuable: a deep respect for nature. For Luke, the outdoors wasn't just a hobby, it was home. But life would soon take him far from the wilderness. When he was younger, Luke spent time in Japan, a country very different from Alaska. The fast-paced cities, disciplined culture, and structured way of life were a sharp contrast to the wild landscapes he had grown up in. In Japan, he learned lessons that would stay with him forever. Discipline, patience, and attention to detail became part of his character. He also developed an appreciation for storytelling and teaching, skills that would later become essential to his success as a creator. Yet even as he adapted to new environments, the love for adventure never left him. Eventually, Luke returned to the United States and began pursuing a more traditional career path. Like many people, he faced the challenge of balancing work, responsibility, and personal happiness. He worked in political consulting, a demanding field that required long hours, constant travel, and high-pressure decision-making. On paper, it was a successful career. It paid well, and it offered opportunities for advancement. But something was missing. Despite the professional success, Luke found himself longing for something different. The fast pace of political work couldn't replace the peace he felt standing beside a quiet river or walking through the forest. He realized that money and career achievements weren't enough to bring true fulfillment. So he made a difficult decision. Luke left political consulting and chose to attend law school, hoping that becoming a lawyer would provide stability while allowing him more control over his time. For a while, it seemed like the right choice. He built a legal career and achieved the kind of security many people dream of. But deep down, the same feeling remained. There was still something missing. That missing piece was adventure. Luke felt a strong desire to return to the outdoors, not just for himself, but for his family. He wanted his children to experience the same sense of wonder and freedom he had known as a child. And slowly, an idea began to form. What if he could share these experiences with others? What if he could teach people outdoor skills and inspire families around the world to explore nature together? That idea would eventually become Outdoor Boys. But first, there was another step in the journey. Before launching Outdoor Boys, Luke created a YouTube channel called Catfish and Carp. The goal was simple: share fishing techniques, tell stories, and connect with people who loved the outdoors. At first, it was just an experiment, but something unexpected happened. People loved it. Viewers connected with Luke's relaxed personality, clear explanations, and genuine enthusiasm. His videos weren't flashy or dramatic. They were honest, and that honesty made them stand out. The channel began to grow quickly. Encouraged by the response, Luke realized that YouTube had the potential to become more than just a hobby. It could be a way to combine his passions for teaching, storytelling, and outdoor adventure. And so, in 2015, Outdoor Boys was born. The vision for the new channel was bitter. It wasn't just about fishing anymore. It was about survival skills, camping trips, exploring remote locations, and most importantly, sharing those experiences with his sons. Luke wanted Outdoor Boys to be more than a channel. He wanted it to be a record of memories, a way to capture moments that his children would one day look back on. But building a channel like this was not easy. Filming in the wilderness is incredibly challenging. Weather conditions can change without warning. Equipment can fail. Travel to remote areas can be exhausting and expensive. Many of the trips that looked effortless on camera required days of planning and preparation behind the scenes. And then there was the physical strain. Carrying gear through snow, hiking long distances, and enduring freezing temperatures takes a toll on the body. There were times when exhaustion pushed Luke to his limits, but the camera rarely showed those moments, because viewers usually see the adventure, not the hardship behind it. Another challenge was balancing family life with content creation. As the channel grew, so did the workload. Editing videos, planning trips, responding to viewers, and managing the business side of YouTube all required time and energy. It was no longer just a passion project. It was becoming a full-time responsibility. And with responsibility came pressure. Millions of people began watching Outdoor Boys. Each new video had to be better than the last. Each adventure had to be exciting and meaningful. That kind of pressure can be overwhelming, even for someone who loves what they do. Yet Luke kept going. He continued to take his children on adventures, teaching them skills and values that can't be learned in a classroom: patience, resilience, and respect for nature. Viewers loved seeing these moments. Watching the children learn and grow became one of the most heartwarming parts of the channel. But there were also risks. Exploring the wilderness is never completely safe. Harsh weather, dangerous terrain, and unpredictable wildlife are constant realities. Every trip carried an element of danger, and the responsibility of keeping his family safe weighed heavily on Luke's shoulders. It was a responsibility he never took lightly. At the same time, being in the public eye brought another kind of challenge: criticism. Not everyone understood the effort behind the videos. Some people judged without seeing the full picture. Handling that kind of attention can be emotionally draining, especially for someone who started simply to share his passion. Still, Luke remained focused on what mattered most: his family and his love for the outdoors. Over time, Outdoor Boys grew into one of the most popular outdoor channels on YouTube. Millions of subscribers followed every new adventure. The channel inspired families around the world to spend more time outside, to camp, to fish, and to explore. But even as success grew, so did the demands. What many viewers didn't realize was that success on YouTube often comes with hidden costs: stress, exhaustion, and the constant need to keep creating. And sometimes, those pressures begin to take a toll in ways that are not immediately visible. Because behind every video, every adventure, and every smiling moment on camera, there is a human being carrying the weight of expectations, responsibilities, and the challenges of real life. And for Luke Nichols, those challenges were only beginning. As the Outdoor Boys channel continued to grow, so did the pressure behind the scenes. What had once started as a simple way to share family adventures was now reaching millions of people across the world. Each upload was watched, analyzed, and discussed by a massive audience. And while success brought opportunities, it also brought an entirely new level of responsibility. For Luke Nichols, the challenge was no longer just about surviving in the wilderness. It was about surviving the demands of a life lived partly in the public eye. Creating outdoor content at such a high level required enormous effort. Trips that lasted a few days on camera often involved weeks of planning. Locations had to be researched, gear had to be prepared, and safety had to be carefully considered, especially when children were involved. Every journey required balancing adventure with responsibility. And then there was the editing. Many people underestimate how much time it takes to turn hours of raw footage into a single engaging video. Long nights of editing, reviewing, and refining became a regular part of life. While viewers saw a 20-minute adventure, the process behind it could take days of work. Over time, the pace began to take its toll. Physical exhaustion was one challenge, but mental fatigue was another. The constant need to produce content, to keep the channel active, and to meet audience expectations created a pressure that few viewers could truly understand. At the same time, Luke was still a father first. His children were growing up, and like any parent, he wanted to be present in their lives, not just as a content creator, but as a guide, a teacher, and a source of support. Balancing those roles wasn't always easy. Filming adventures with family can be rewarding, but it also means that work and personal life become deeply intertwined. There is no clear line between the two. For many creators, this blurred boundary becomes one of the hardest parts of the job. Moments that would normally be private become public. Memories are shared with millions of strangers, and while the audience sees joy and excitement, the creator must also manage the responsibility of protecting the people closest to them. This was something Luke took seriously. As the channel became more popular, attention from the public increased. Recognition in public places, messages from viewers, and constant online discussions became part of daily life. While much of the attention was positive, it also meant living with a level of visibility that can feel overwhelming. Not everyone realizes how heavy that burden can be. The internet can be a place of encouragement, but it can also be a place of criticism. Some viewers question decisions. Others make assumptions without knowing the full story. Even small misunderstandings can spread quickly online. Handling that kind of pressure requires emotional strength. Despite everything, Luke continued to focus on what mattered most: creating meaningful experiences for his family and sharing knowledge that could inspire others. But like many people who work tirelessly for years, there eventually comes a moment when the body and mind begin to ask for rest. Burnout is something that affects people in many professions, and content creation is no exception. Traveling, filming, editing, and managing a growing audience without long breaks can slowly drain even the most passionate individual. The excitement that once fueled every adventure can begin to feel like an obligation rather than a choice. And that shift can be painful. Because when something you love starts to feel like pressure, it forces you to confront difficult questions. Should you keep pushing forward, or should you step back entirely? These are not easy decisions, especially when millions of people are watching and waiting for the next video. For Luke Nichols, the journey of Outdoor Boys was never just about views or subscribers. It was about family, freedom, and sharing a love for nature. And that meant that sometimes the right decision was not the one that pleased the audience, but the one that protected what mattered most. Over time, viewers began to notice changes. Upload schedules became less predictable. Breaks between videos grew longer. For some fans, this was confusing. For others, it was understandable. Because behind every creator is a human being who needs time to rest, to recover, and to live life away from the camera. And perhaps that is one of the hidden tragedies of success in the digital age. The more people love what you do, the harder it becomes to step away from it, even when you need to. But stepping back is not a sign of failure. In many ways, it is a sign of wisdom. Luke's story is not a tragedy in the way many people expect. It is not a story of sudden loss or dramatic collapse. Instead, it is a quieter, more human kind of tragedy. The struggle to balance passion with responsibility, success with peace, and public life with private happiness. It is the story of a man who followed his passion, achieved incredible success, and then faced the reality that even the best journeys come with sacrifices. Yet there is also something deeply hopeful in that story. Because Outdoor Boys did more than entertain. It inspired millions of people to reconnect with nature, to spend time with their families, and to appreciate the simple beauty of the world around them. That impact does not disappear, even when uploads slow down. The videos remain, the lessons remain, the memories remain, not just for viewers, but for Luke and his children as well. And perhaps, in the end, that is what truly matters. The quiet mornings by a river, the sound of a campfire crackling in the night, the laughter of children learning something new for the first time. These are the moments that last far longer than any viral video ever could. The story of the Outdoor Boys reminds us of something important. Life is not meant to be lived entirely on camera. Some of the most meaningful experiences are the ones that remain private, shared only with the people closest to us. And sometimes, the bravest decision a person can make is not to keep going, but to slow down, to breathe, and to protect the life they have built. Because in the end, adventure is not just about exploring distant places. It is about finding balance, protecting what matters most, and understanding that even the strongest people need time to rest. And that is the real story behind the Outdoor Boys.